Hi guys, thank you for joining our webinar on how insurers can comply with RDI's policy signing rules. Just a few house rules before we start. This webinar will be of 30 to 35 minutes and we will have an open Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions before that, you can drop them in a Q&A box. And second, we will be sharing the recording of the webinar with a thank you email in next 48 hours. So with that, I think we can start. Let me introduce you to today's hosts. Today we have Aditya, who heads marketing at Leegality. Before working at Leegality, he was a lawyer and he will be taking us through the legal aspects of the webinar. And Subhesh, who leads product marketing at Leegality, and we will give us a demo of SignStation at the end of the webinar. So with that, I would like to hand over to Aditya. Over to you, Aditya.
So thanks, Azima, for that introduction. All right, let's start. Thank you for joining. So our agenda today is very simple. First, we'll cover what IRDAI's rules for ePolicy issuance are. Second, we'll cover how insurers issue ePolicies today. This is based on primary research where we've just gone through flows of various insurers. Third, we'll show you a demo of an IRDAI-compliant ePolicy flow via our new product purpose built for documents like policies called SignStation. After which we'll throw open the floor for an open Q&A. Before that, a small word from our sponsors, which is us only at Leegality. Leegality, for those of you who don't know, is a document infrastructure platform designed to help Indian BFSI companies build paperless flows for their agreements, forms, and other documents in a fast, easy, and compliant way. Today, we will be showcasing SignStation at the end of the session. This is a product, as I mentioned, purpose built for high volume, single signer use cases like ePolicies. We currently already work with many insurers for critical legal agreement use cases like vendor agreements, agent agreements, marketplace agreements, and more. We now have a product specifically for ePolicies and have launched it in the market, which we'll show you at the end. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to the meat of the webinar. First, what exactly do IRDAI rules say about ePolicies? If you look at the IRDAI rules, they're pretty crystal clear, right? E-insurance policies or ePolicies, which are policies in electronic form, must be digitally signed. The IRDAI has specifically used the words digitally signed rather than authenticated, accepted, or acknowledged. And this terminology difference is super critical, right? Because as per the IT Act, this is the Indian Information Technology Act, as per Section 5 of the IT Act, whenever there is any rule or regulation that specifically uses the words sign or even uses the words digitally sign for a document, like it says that this document must be signed, then when you want to do that electronically, you have to do it using an IT Act eSign. You cannot use other forms of electronic authentication. You have to use an IT Act eSign. And in India, an IT Act eSign means 4 types of eSign. 1, any form of Aadhaar eSign. 2, PAN eSign. 3, DSC token eSign, those USB dongles. And 4, doc signer, right? You cannot use the ones on the right? Yet we find that about 1/3 of insurers, right? We did a study where we looked through flows obtaining policies from insurers. And we found that from the top 20 insurers, about 33% rely on things like a cropped signature being pasted onto the policy or a simple message or clickwrap saying, do this OTP and saying, here is the sign, like this document is now signed, right? This is quite shocking because, as I mentioned, this is not what the IRDAI rules on ePolicy issuance say, right? Now, when we ask insurers, there are 4 main reasons we hear, right? Like when we ask insurers, like, why don't you collect an IT Act eSign? One is IRDAI doesn't really penalize insurers. 2, we've been audited multiple times. This has never been flagged. 3, they say our legal has okayed this. And 4, they say that if we have to do eSign, it will be a big operational burden. Let's address these. The first 2 are quite similar. They are related to the likelihood of penalty or action against you for non-compliance. Let me address them together, right? Both of these reasons are ultimately premised on IRDAI being a constant and unchanging entity. But if you see from this graph, IRDAI is changing, right? We've analyzed their enforcement and penalty action since 2019. And as you can see from the graph, IRDAI is becoming stricter, right? And IRDAI fines are becoming more hefty. So in 2022, 2023, there was a break. Like IRDAI didn't do any enforcement. I think it's the post-COVID period. They mostly issued warnings with zero financial monetary penalties levied. But if you see 2024, 2025, IRDAI has become very active, right? Imposing about 34 penalties across 2 years. Now, if you see quantum of 2021 and say 2025, you'll say that, okay, it's the same number of fines, right? 18 and 18. So IRDAI is back to just its pre-COVID days. But if you actually look at the quantity of fines levied, right, despite having the same number of fines in 2025 as in 2021, the actual fine amount is 4x the amount, right? So there is clear change in how IRDAI is doing it. I want to zoom in on one 2025 fine. So in 2025, IRDAI penalized an insurer for not having a signature on supporting documents attached with the claim. I want to call this penalty out specifically because it highlights two trends. One, IRDAI being very strict about something which it may not have enforced earlier, right? Something that may seem a formality. And two, IRDAI paying specific attention to documentation compliance, which was seen as routine earlier, right? So insurers, net in this context in 2026, need to be prepared to see an IRDAI that is much stricter and more committed to enforcing its own guidelines. So that's the first two reasons. Let's cover the second two reasons insurers say when they say that we don't use an IT Act eSign, right? These reasons, unlike the others, are largely reasons of operational convenience, not about compliance. So let's address these together, right? So one, at the outset, it's important to realize that the rules are very clear, right? I'm reiterating this. So no matter what your operational considerations are, the IRDAI says, like it's black and white, you have to use an IT Act eSign for ePolicies. So you can't say, sure, IRDAI says this, but our ops burden is this. We're going to weigh the two and take a call, right? There is no such weighing the two when it comes to compliance. Like it's completely non-compliant if you don't use an IT Act eSign. However, the reason people weigh this is because of a big misconception that IT Act eSigns are inconvenient and create an operational burden for ePolicies, right? That they will be a pain. There will be a cost per document that we incur on this that's greater than our current cost. And that's where, like, that's a misconception, right? You need to realize that all IT Act eSigns are not the same. So when picking an IT Act eSign, evaluate it on the following criteria. And we're going to do this in the next slide, right? One, is it easy to procure and implement? Two, it should not require a physical device. Three, it should not require manual intervention, as in it should run automatically. And four, it should be cost effective to run at the scale that insurers operate at, right? Like thousands, if not more, policies per month. And I'm probably undercounting here. So when you apply these criteria, the choice becomes much easier and you see there's a clear winner when it comes to IT Act eSigns. One, let's run through them one by one, right? You can't use an Aadhaar eSign because it requires someone to constantly do the authentication manually, which also makes it costly. You can't use PAN for the same problems as Aadhaar. You can't use DSC because DSC actually has the same problems as Aadhaar and PAN and has an additional problem that it requires a physical device to operate, which makes it even worse, even more inconvenient. So the only standout obvious choice here is DocSigner, which is an e-sign assigned to an organization. It lives in a server and it can be used to automatically sign documents or sign documents programmatically. What this means is that the documents get signed upon certain conditions being met without the need of any manual intervention. So far, Leegality, our product, has been optimized towards an Aadhaar e-sign or even a DSC sign workflow with DocSigner, only a supplementary sign. But with SignStation, we are actually changing this, right? So with SignStation, if you can go to the next slide. SignStation is our special purpose built DocSigner only product, right? It's very simple. You can deploy and integrate it in a day or two on your servers and integrate it with your pass also in the same time, like 2 to 3 days in your PAS. Your DocSigner then lives there. You set up the conditions for when it is applied. which is a one-time configuration, and that's it, right? All policies that you issue will be passed through SignStation, have a sign on them, and then sent to whoever you want to send it to. Now, the other issue, so it's very easy to implement and very easy operationally, right? It's automatic. Two, there are no transactional charges, right? At the scale insurers operate in, for each policy, if you had to do a unique eSign, if you had to do like an Aadhaar eSign, it would incur, you would have a high cost a year, right? You would have tens of crores a year, probably, if you're a large insurer. With SignStation, we're removing transaction fees completely, right? All you need to do is pay a flat annual fee and you get unlimited signs. So there's simplicity in use and setup and complete simplicity in pricing. It's a very predictable cost center, not a variable cost center. So now to show you how SignStation works and how it solves the compliance issue we talked about in the previous slides, I'll hand it over to Shubhesh for a quick demo. Over to you, Shubhesh.
Thanks a lot, Aditya. Let me just share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi everyone. So what I'm going to show you is how SignStation is going to work for your insurance flows and how you can very seamlessly plug it in into any app website from where your customers are buying insurance from your company. In most cases, what we've seen is policies issued as the last step. Once the customer has applied for it, they've done KYC. They've also made the payment for the policy after selecting it. The last step is when the insurer usually shares CIS and the policy document. You can do it two ways. Let's say if an agent is involved and they're using their app, you can also configure it there. Or if there is no agent involved and you're selling directly from your website or your app, you can even configure it there. I'll show you both ways how it's done. Let's say first it's an automatic thing where there's no agent involved. Your customer are coming to your app, they're coming to your website, applying for it, doing KYC, and directly buying the policy after making the payment. How it's going to work for them? So once they make the payment, automatically the payment, as soon as it hits and it's confirmed that it's done, your policy document will go to SignStation. SignStation is going to e-sign it using a doc signer on the back end, and once this is done, it's going to send the document back to your PAS and to the website or your app wherever the customer is applying for that insurance. This I've put a buffer here because I was going to talk about what's happening here. I'm going to show you how fast actually the product is in a couple of minutes. So as you can see, I made the payment, and as soon as that was done, a process started and I got the signed document automatically. I didn't have to do anything. And this is my policy document. And as you can see, there's the signature which we just did, like May 8th, 12:15, which is the time right now. And literally while I was talking within the entire process took like 1 minute. Similarly, let's say if you have an agent who's making this, who's issuing the policy to the customer, even similarly, you can put this particular flow in the agent app or agent login access as well. They'll click on issue policy as soon as they see that payment is done, and the policy will be issued to the customer instantly within a couple of minutes live in front of the agent. If you want, you can give the PDF to the agent within their app as well. If not, you can just directly send the policy to the customer on email, SMS, wherever you want from your end. So similarly, like we got another signed document within a couple of minutes. So how do you do this? First thing you'll have to do is you'll have to install SignStation on your servers. Just ignore that. That's for a weak password that I've put on my particular account. Yeah, first thing you'll have to do after installing SignStation is you'll have to add your own DocSigner certificate. For that, you can do it very easily using this dashboard. Click on Add Certificate. You choose what department you want to put it to. Let's say if you have multiple kind of insurance that you're selling car insurance, you're selling health insurance. You want to have different DocSigner certificates for them. You can do that. You can create one department for cars and you can create one department for health. Let's say this is for all departments. I can enter the password for it, upload the certificate, and it's done. I don't have to do anything beyond that. Now, how does the signing happen? Let's say you have to select the department. Let's say I'm a health and insurance department. So I'll select that health insurance. I'll upload the policy document. This is my policy document. I'll add coordinates wherever I want to sign. Let's say I want the signatures to come here in these 3 locations. I'll select the certificate. Let's say if I want to put name also, health insurance, reasons, issuance. If let's say you also want to check where this policy was issued, you can pass that in location also and click on sign. All of this is obviously going to be done through APIs. I've shown you a manually approach just to show you how it's going to happen on the back end. So this is your fully signed document. So this was an older signature and this is the signature that we just did. And you can download this document manually. You can also download the audit trail for it and store it in your PAS. With that, the demo comes to an end. Do you want me to show anything else, Aditya?
No, Shubhesh. I think that was great. Thank you so much. So yeah, in the deck, we've also highlighted how the SignStation flow works that Shubhesh showed you, but you'll also get a recording so you can see Shubhesh's demo again. So again, if you want SignStation, you can get it at massive discounts. As we said, it's very, very cheap. It's a flat annual license fee, and you ensure your policies are fully compliant without actually having to do any manual intervention. We put a small poll if you would like a SignStation demo and if you would like to discuss implementing SignStation for your use case. So you can answer yes or no, or you cannot answer also if you don't want. And so that comes to an end to our webinar. I think before that, yeah. So yeah, you can comply with eSign. Legality beyond SignStation can also be used for other documents like policy, like CIS and proposal forms. You can collect eSign, for example, on claims form to deter fraudulent claims, say at the stage of filing. You can basically any document, claims form, CIS, EIA, proposal form, you can basically run any document process in a paperless way that's also IRDAI compliant and also Indian evidence law compliant through Leegality, right? So you may come for SignStation, but you can use our wider document infrastructure suite for a whole host of other use cases. With that, we come to an end to the webinar. If you want to stay updated about more such webinars, if you want to know about case studies when they come up or latest product updates, please do scan and opt in to our weekly WhatsApp and email updates facility. With that, we'll come to the open Q&A. So if you have any questions, do drop them in the Q&A box below and we'll take them up. Cool. We don't seem to have any questions. We will share the recording by Monday, end of day. And yeah, thank you all for joining. Quick webinar, very simple, short topic, but very important topic. It's a very simple change you need to make. And if you want our help in doing it, reach out to us, reply to the email we send you with the recording, and we'll get you set up with a SignStation demo and implement SignStation for you at a very reasonable flat annual cost. All right. Thank you all. We'll end the webinar now.